Brodey is a distinguished writer, author, and award-winning journalist, writing and editing for top publications like Forbes, The New York Times, USA Today, and Glamour magazine. Years before she was diagnosed as an adult with ADHD and dyslexia, Denise was struggling to find out why she was so different.
I would ask my mom, "Can I have glasses?" And she'd say, "I know you want to look smarter, but you don't need glasses." And I'd say, "But I can't focus." I think that the biggest hindrance to my getting a diagnosis was that I learned so many ways to work around my issues that I became very quiet and I didn't make a fuss. So that was my accommodation, was okay, if I'm quiet enough and compliant enough, no one will notice me.
She always knew she wanted to pursue her creativity and launched a successful career in journalism.
I always wanted to be in magazines. I was a kid who ran to the mailbox to get 17 and Glamour and Time and Newsweek. What I didn't know was that being in New York, being with a bunch of super creative people, was going to be the perfect place for me, and working on a project basis with deadlines built in, that was the perfect way for my brain to motivate.
However, her creative process didn't always translate well into the workplace.
My CFO came in and said, "Hey, people are wondering what all this sort of mess is." And I said, "That's a color coding system for me." And this went on and on and on until I ultimately left and became much more of an advocate for adults who are neurodivergent, because I realized my ADHD, my dyslexia, none of it was showing up as being a good worker. I was a bad employee. So I started my own business and I said, "Hey, I'm a rebel. I'm also talented." I wanted to combine those two things to say, we aren't normal. We don't work normally, but we're also incredibly talented. We're huge assets. So how can businesses start to understand and combine those two? In that sense, working that way for 25 years helped me be so successful, helped me rise to the top of a very competitive field, and to write a book at the same time about neurodivergent families. So I wrote this book when I was at Glamour called The Elephant in the Playroom. I was really seeking answers to those wicked, awful questions nobody wants to talk about, like, what do you do about your in-laws? What happens when there's no more medication and you don't want to send it to camp? What happens when your kid doesn't have any play dates? And after I wrote that book, that's when I realized we need more of this. I want to do more to bring out the voices of neurodivergent workers. And I had at that time left magazines. So I began Rebel Talent, and that's really all about bringing clarity and communication and conversation and compassion to businesses that have people like me who are really talented but slightly rebellious. And so it's called Rebel Talent.
Rebel Talent focuses on advocacy projects around learning disabilities and mental health, utilizing Denise's expertise and passion for making a difference.
There's a chance to have a conversation, and I go in as Rebel Talent, and I structure that conversation, and I say, here's how you can define what you need as a neurodivergent person without being too diagnostic. I say, are you a secret keeper or a deadline meter? Who are you? Tell that to your boss. Then I say, here's a structure that your boss can use to figure out how they communicate. And I ask people, how will you meet in the middle? I'm a journalist and I'm a storyteller, and I'm really good at this point at bringing out people's stories in a way that's positive and that people can appreciate.
Denise continues to advocate and bring awareness to the workplace, making sure neurodiverse individuals are not only not overlooked, but utilized to their fullest potential.
I really hit the nail on the head somehow, because I was the first person to speak to people who were neurodivergent, either who were out and talking about it, who had disclosed, or undercover. and to talk to HR people about what do you see and what are the problems? What do you not understand? And I really dug deep so that neurodivergence would be represented in a business forum. And from there, Rebel Talent Group, people said, we love your articles because you're not talking about people, you're talking with people. And that's been really, I think, a very big change.
For A World of Difference, I'm Cindy Peterson.